Hi, I'm CJ Elmberg at Transwest Truck Trailer RV in Frederick, Colorado. We've got a brand new Cimarron Stierwalt Signature Series Air Ride trailer sitting behind us here. This trailer here is one that we consistently order with Air Ride. If we don't, these trailers really aren't very sought after. So we usually keep about 2 to 3 of these on hand, on order at all times in this 30-foot Air Ride setup. Let's go ahead and take a look at the drawing. I'll show you some specs and how the trailer lays out. With it being the Signature Series, you're going to be that standard 8-foot wide. This is 6'4" tall. This is 30 foot on the floor. So we have that 6-foot front tack room with 24 foot of stall space on this guy here. Really well equipped trailer. Let's walk you through it just so we can show you all the cool features and benefits on this trailer that we're going to look at. So Cimarron, all aluminum construction, 8-year structure warranty, 3-year hardware warranty. We'll start right at the hitch. 25,000 pound rated B&W coupler. This is the 3rd generation of this guy. This has a lower profile handle, which allows this lower hole to be drilled into it, which gives us more flexibility to move this guy up and down within that sleeve. What we want is we want this trailer running level, equal weight distribution on these 2 axles, but also have bed clearance for you, and it gives us more flexibility by having the lower profile handle with that extra hole drilled into it. The previous version didn't have that, had a taller handle, so we just didn't have as much flexibility. Well, now we do. So they've done a great job on listening to our feedback and making those adjustments and building a high quality product. Underneath the gooseneck, we have a roll-up door. I have it open right now because I just want to show you what we got going on underneath here. First and foremost, you're going to notice we have that equalizer electric over hydraulic jack. That has the manual override. So if you need to override it and manually pump it on or off the truck, you have that on this setup. In fact, there's even a little code on the side here you can scan with your phone, and it'll take you to the video of Cimarron's president, Ben Jansen, showing you how to operate this. We've got some videos of that as well that we can send to you, but it is nice to have that ability. Spare tire located to the left of the actual jack itself. Then we've got some brackets over here. You can set a portable generator right here. As you see, the floor is an expanded metal, so it's got some holes in there for some ventilation. If you're going to set a generator here and really running it, you need more airflow. So either you need to duct that exhaust down and out, that way it's getting that heat out of here, or you need to roll up this door. With this jack setup, you're going to get this aluminum battery box. It's going to house a 12-volt battery and a battery disconnect. That disconnect's important. When we park this trailer and walk away, you're going to turn that guy to the off position. It's going to kill power to the rest of the trailer. So if we leave a light on, which this one has a lot that I'll show you, it's not draining that battery down. We want that battery nice and charged up, so when we go to hit the button to lower and raise this trailer with that electric over hydraulic jack, it's going to do what we want. So speaking of this RedArc charger right here, that little black box, that is a piece that's been added shortly after the 25 models came out. With this jack setup, you're going to get that. And what that does is it is a true 3-staging charger. I like to call it a supercharger. Your truck would always work as a trickle charger to these batteries, but very slow charging. So this guy here is going to put the correct amount of power to that battery based on its level, but keeping it nice and topped off. That's what we want. We want it because it'll make it last a lot longer, a lot more longevity on that battery with that RedArc charger. It also has different profiles, so if you wanted to add like solar, you want to change the lithium batteries, that can all be changed, and you don't have to necessarily change that module right there. The other thing too is it tells us if we have power coming from the truck. So when we can plug in, to your tow vehicle, I can tell you if we have 12-volt power coming from the truck or not. The other thing is going to be to the right of that battery is your onboard compressor for the air ride system. So it's all self-contained, very simple to use. It's on off, it's lower raise, and then it has a drain. The drain's important because you need to drain it each time because, and it's kind of hard to see, you can see where the gauge is at right now. We have a little bit of air pressure, the drain's underneath. What I want to do is I want to hold this guy because air creates condensation, and in the winter times it can freeze and crack that line, and then we have an air leak, and then the system's not going to act how it properly should. So once I drain this guy, I kind of hold it till it stops hissing at me. And if we look now, the gauge is down to 0. So I've cleared all that out. So that's important to do on this trailer. We've done some how-to videos on how to operate it and then how to shut it down properly in a real condensed version that we can send to you. But we will talk more about air ride. But again, you don't have to have a air source from the truck. It's all right here in the trailer itself, all self-contained. And then that roll-up door goes down and protects everything back there. Some customers ask, well, how does this do in like snow and ice? How does it do in like, real dusty roads, things like that? They use these on like fire trucks, utility trucks. Our customers have gotten along extremely well with these. I haven't heard anybody say, hey, mine's completely froze up or anything like that. So again, really easy to use. The other thing too is, look, this is a good looking trailer. So I think it finishes it off. It makes it a real sleek look to it, but also it's gonna help with wind that comes behind the truck and hitting the front end of this. It's gonna make it a little bit more aerodynamic. The last piece is we did a 16-inch awning light underneath the gooseneck here. It's gonna shoot down into that area because our cargo light's gonna get blocked by the front of the trailer a little bit. Let's give you some light coverage. The switch is just right over here, actually by the switches for the jack itself. With it being the Signature Series, you get that wraparound style nose. That way, it's just, again, a sleeker look to the trailer itself. That lower rocker panel, it's gonna be polished like the rest of the extrusion's gonna be, and just like that top rail. And if you look at that top rail, you're gonna notice all the button lights. We did a bunch of extra button light, marker lights on the top there. This trailer is gonna look and I mean, it's just cool at night when it's all lit up like that. You're also getting 2 16-inch awning lights, one at each ramp going in, plenty of lights. Again, we wanna make sure you have a lot of light on this trailer. And then this is the black sheeting on this guy here. So white is standard. Black, charcoal metallic, silver and metallic are probably the most popular options. There's a new color, Caribou, which is gonna match Ford's Caribou Brown. And then they can do some custom colors. You can do the painless, painless sheets on this guy. That's a popular option as well on these Stierwalts. Again, but it's just a good looking trailer when you include that black sheeting with all that polish. So we have this ramp going in this front tack room. Front tack room is 6 foot, but this ramp makes all the difference in the world when you're pulling up, upright show boxes, blower carts, fan carts. Maybe you're wanting to put the generator in here. Maybe you got some other items you're bringing in. Making that ramp accessible, coming in the front tack rather than having to lift it up into a man door makes a big difference when we're bringing those items in here. And then we have 6 foot of floor space in here, which makes a big difference. We have to have 5 foot in order to do a side ramp on this, but that extra foot, yes, it is an extra linear foot on this trailer in this front tack room versus the 5. But when you start stacking those upright boxes, those blower carts, those fan carts, everything just fits a little bit better. It's a giant game of Tetris. So as you come in, you're gonna notice this gray rubber flooring. It's everywhere. So not only do we have it on the floor, we have it on this partition wall right here. It's gonna protect everything. It's really stout. It's cut and it's glued down and then sealed on the side. So it's gonna hold there. But this stuff works extremely well in high traffic areas, so it's gonna hold up extremely well. And on this partition wall, you're gonna get 2 rows of utility hooks. These are aluminum powder coated, so these guys here are really strong. These are not your typical bridle hooks that we used to take from horse trailers and put on these livestock trailers. These are built specifically for these with the livestock Showman in mind, because look at the spacing between the hooks, the depth off the wall, and then there's some height to them as well. So what are we hauling a lot of? Big cords, big hoses. They fall off of those bridle hooks, those little ones. These are built for those, so we can stack some of those items right there. You see this airliner track? This is fantastic stuff. We're incorporating it a lot in different applications on these trailers. But what you can get is you can go on like Amazon, get you a bunch of different style hooks. There's a lot of different components you can get for this, but the hooks are great because they're adjustable on this airliner track. So I can set them where I want, and then I can put, maybe it's my blower cart over here, maybe it's my upright box, depending on how you want to stack items. And then you can just bungee it, you can strap it, but again, it gives you a lot of flexibility as far as that's concerned. Lights, okay, once again, we have lights above each door. We have one up in the gooseneck, but we have switches as you come in both ways of this trailer. So when you come in this man door, you can turn the lights on here. You can come up that side ramp and come in and turn the light on there as well. That way, if you have items stacked in here, I don't have to crawl over to that side. A customer pointed that out one day. He said, hey, I'd love to have another switch on this side of the trailer. We typically 90% of the time are coming in here and we have equipment stacked and I can't get to that light switch. So we just went ahead and put one up here. So again, there's that LED. It's an OptiBrite light, puts out a ton of light, not a big power draw. This has now become standard on these. You're also gonna get a head pad. This makes a big difference on these lower profile trailers going out, so you don't hit your head. And then as we work to the gooseneck area, over here on the right hand side is going to be a tray that's going to store our plexiglass. I'll show you where that plexiglass is here in a few minutes, but that, keep in mind, that is where that's going to store. There's that LED light up in the nose itself. It's centered in the nose. You know, these Cimarron noses are a little bit longer. Even this one here is even longer than standard because of the enclosure. So you have a lot of space for storage, but that also means it's a long distance away from these lights above the door. So we like to put one up there in the nose, making sure you have plenty of light coverage. There's that gray rubber mat. It's on the deck and the drop wall. So a lot simpler to clean up, especially if you're dragging items in here that maybe you're throwing some feed up here, you know, something's got shavings and hay on it. It's not going to get embedded in that carpet. It's a lot simpler to clean up. There's a box over there on the left-hand side, and that is for a 30 amp package. So this has a power package on it. So that 30 amp breaker is already on this. As you can see, it's got an outlet in here, which is great, you know, charging phones, you know, maybe it's some batteries for some clippers or something along those lines. You've got that capability there. And then you've got this 4-inch tube that goes across the deck. This is removable, so it's just pinned in on each side. But when we're throwing items up here in the deck, we don't have to worry about them sliding, you know, off the deck itself. It'll help kind of keep things nice and neat up there. On this drop wall, there's another row of airliner track, and we wanted this area because you come into the ramp. This is kind of an area where you're going to stack a lot of items, so we wanted to give you a little bit more floor space over here. So we gave you this boot box that's halfway across. It's 18 inches deep, but this is a great catch-all. As you can see right now, we've got some, this has got a combo lock on it, so it's got the box and information on that. There's our power cord for that 30 amp package. But maybe you throw some tire changing equipment, just some smaller miscellaneous stuff that can roll around. You don't want it in the way. It's got a place to stay. If you're showing off the trailer, it works as a great bench just to sit down. Or if you need to actually hop up into this gooseneck area, it's a great step to hop up in there itself. Clothes bar. So again, if you're showing off of it or even just traveling, you can hang clothes here. You know, it's not taking up space in the back of the truck. You know, if you're showing off the trailer, you need to send one of the kids to the trailer to go change into a show shirt, anything like that, you can do that in here in the front tack. This guy is also braced and framed for an air conditioner or a manual camper vent or a 12-volt vent because we have 12-volt power. That framework, by having that done, saves a lot of time and hassle and money if you are wanting to add that, you know, after the fact. The man door, I'll show you when we get to the other side. But we like multiple access points into these front tack rooms. This one here is street side, so if for some reason we get in an emergency situation, we can sneak into the tack room rather than having to drop the ramp, which is going to be on curbside. The other thing too I like it is just from the sheer standpoint of if this door, this ramp gets shut and somebody's in there and you don't have another access point into the tack room, you can't get out. There's a good look at that black sheeting with the ramp up itself. And then as we work back, you're gonna notice the ramp. The ramp is set back off this front tack room. And there's a couple reasons why. Typically this ramp is set directly behind it as standard. We like to shove it back a little bit. And the reason why is when this ramp is right here, Yes, we have the head side where we can get some airflow in there, but this butt side, we're limiting what we can get for airflow into the trailer. So that front compartment might get a little bit warmer. So we like to push it back. That way we've got a lower air gap here so we can get some air going into the trailer. We're going in a forward motion, so air is going to travel into this stall area and then go backwards from there. So it's going to get airflow to these calves in this front compartment here. This has the 2 upper air gaps and then a lower air gap. Typically, if it's the plexiglass setup, it's a narrow air gap down low, but in this instance, we opted for the fold down aluminum slat. So if you're not really paying attention, it just blends into the trailer. You really don't know it's there, but you can easily walk by and drop this guy and get airflow in there. So I don't have to pull plexiglass from down low. Now in the 2 upper air gaps, there is plexiglass. So if you wanted to, they've got these notches built into them. Again, that plexiglass tray that I showed you up front, that's where we're gonna remove these and we're gonna store them in there. Because what we don't want is we don't want to throw them on that deck and maybe throw a fan up there or some other equipment and it breaks this plexiglass. Let's put them in that tray where they can store. Now, here's another tip for you. Somewhere in that tack room, keep you a roll of masking tape or painter's tape and a Sharpie. That tape won't leave a real sticky residue, like, you know, duct tape or something along those lines. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take out passenger lower, put them all together, tape them, write what it is, then do the same for the upper, then do the same for driver's side. Keep them separated, but keep them in those sections, because when we go to put them back in, we know where each section goes. If you don't, you have all these puzzle pieces where you have no idea how to put them together. You don't know the picture, you don't know the final result. It's a mess. So it will save you so much time and hassle by taking that small step, by removing them, keeping them together, you know, noting what they are and then putting them up there. But we've got that capability to get that airflow up high as well. I've seen some customers run with the lower air gap and maybe take out one section, keeping the tinted plexiglass in another section to keep that sun off of calves. It really just depends. Winter months, you know, you can seal it up a little bit more, but the lower air gap's fantastic because you might leave. I mean, it was crazy. This morning I left the house, it was 58 degrees. And we're gonna be approaching 100 today. So think about that massive temperature swing. So if we put calves on here in the morning, it's a little cool. And as it warms up, you go, man, I wanna get a little bit more airflow in there. Then I can just walk by and drop these. Again, I'm not having to pull plexiglass. It's really simple to go ahead and get that drop down and get that airflow. That airflow down low is key because the chest floor of a calf, that's his radiator. So getting that airflow down there and keeping them cool is definitely a bonus. So again, we've shoved that ramp back. It's ahead of the axles a little bit. But then as we head in, again, there's that other LED light. And then you have a head pad coming in here as well. Okay, so as we come in, this guy is equipped with 2 traveling gates. Okay, so this front one here, we just have shoved up against the partition wall. I could roll the other one up here and lock it into place as well. I can have 1 compartment, I can have 2 compartments, I can have 3. If you want to add another gate, that can be done. The track, we run just a few feet off the back. So you have the track length itself, and then you have your upright post to lock those gates in place. So I can set these gates every foot. Both of these are a 48-inch swing with no threshold. So calves don't have to step over anything. They swing both directions. So just the flow coming in and off the trailer makes it so much easier. Also by having that ramp pushed back, it just allows the flow coming off the trailer a lot easier. Again, we can take calves and go to the right. We can take calves and go to the left, where, you know, in that other instance, you're just only gonna really be able to access the stall area one way, but then also be able to set these gates how you want them to, giving you multiple options as far as where you want to put them. But again, these here also have, instead of an air gap up high, as you can see, we went vertical, kind of like a jail bar type setup, but more airflow for the calves. You're gonna notice that common theme. We're just wanting airflow. We're wanting just to keep air moving and keeping everybody nice and cool. And I know I keep saying calves, you might utilize this. We've got a lot of customers that utilize this with these traveling gates, the flexibility to have some small animals in here as well. You can separate some calves, some small animals by having the gates. Again, it gives you so much flexibility to be able to set these where you want, set stall sizes how you want. So maybe you got a couple lambs, couple goats, couple hogs. Build a section for them, then you got your calves, maybe you got a cow-calf pair, maybe you're traveling with a bull, maybe you've got some younger heifers and bigger breds, and you just want to give, you know, again, adequate space to everybody, but not wasting space by, you know, a fixed gate where we have no flexibility at all. So again, these guys are really easy to use. We can just unpin from the sides. And again, I can roll it forward, I can roll it backwards. Get it where I want, lock it into place. Really simple. It comes off of the ceiling with these rails, so as long as you're in the middle, obviously when you go to bed, it'll depend on how you know, they're built up off the floor. So depending on how deep you are, you might have to move it a little bit, but you've got that flexibility to swing it one way or the other. But as long as you're in the middle, I mean, younger juniors can move these gates really, really easy. Again, the no threshold's fantastic, so calves don't have to step over anything. And then we hinged both these gates over here on driver's side. You know, the more traditional stock trailers, the gates are hinged off of, you know, passenger side, but we had to kind of stop and for a second rethink that we're typically loading and unloading off the side of this trailer. So it made more sense when you're leading calves on or off to flip this hinge over to the other side. Just again, giving you a lot more flexibility and ease of operation. And then on this, I'm going to open up this one here at the front. On this front section against that partition wall, we went ahead and put a rubber mat there. That way if you have a calf right here, he's not rubbing against that, you know, aluminum on that wall, protecting that. So we have tie rail, high and low. It's even on the door, I'll show you, but this front compartment here, we just put a couple big hooks for you. So if you have that calf up in this area, I can tie his head up, I can tie him down. Again, this area kind of gets a little bit lost in the shuffle as far as that tie rail, just because we have these plates where these gates are going to come and lock into place. So that's why those rings are there. Access gate coming in, head pad, and then we've got LED lights. We got a bunch of them in here. So we've got some on each side of the stall. And then as we come into up that side ramp, another set of switches for you. These switches here will run interior lights and then passenger side load lights that we saw. So we don't necessarily have to go to that back corner. Again, access point, we can go ahead and turn the lights on in here. And over here on tail side, we've got a couple outlets that are kind of spread evenly. So we have lights, we have outlets. So if you ever wanted to show off the trailer, you know, hang some fans in here, you know, that airliner track, we can do sections of that and add it to these roof bows so you can actually hang a fan from. Typically an 18-inch fan is the best way to go on those, because the 24s just get to be heavy, and obviously they hang down a lot farther, and we have this lower profile trailer. So those type of items could be added, but you do have power back here as well. On the roof, we've got some two-way roof vents. We've got some at the front. I mean, we just double stacked them, so we got a bunch of airflow in here. So we can manipulate airflow by forcing air down on the calves, releasing it, creating a vacuum. Again, you might get to a point where you're going, I have too much airflow. So I'm dialing back on roof vents. I'm closing up a section of, air gap. Maybe you need to shut down a couple sections of that fold down. You might get too much airflow. You step in here and you got shavings all over the calves or something like that. And you go, okay, we got too much going on in here. We can dial that back. You're also going to get this insulated roof. That is standard on every single Cimarron. It doesn't matter what size, show cattle trailer, pig trailer, you know, big horse trailer, living quarters, cargo trailer, they all have this roof. And what's fantastic about it is this is a lower profile trailer. So heat rises, we want to get heat away from the calves, but we don't have to worry about it because of this insulated roof. It keeps the stall area 20% cooler than an aluminum sheeted roof. So keeping the calves nice and cool and comfortable. The other fantastic thing is if you live where there's some hail, this stuff is pretty stout and withstands some pretty substantial size hail. It's a 1/2 inch thick honeycomb design. can take 150 pounds per square foot, so you can walk on the roof and it won't dent. R3 thermal value, gel coating on top. Again, fantastic roof that's standard on every single Cimarron. On the floor, we have rubber mats on this guy. Underneath it is the industry's best floor. It is a 12-inch deck that's tongue and groove, locks in high and low. But more importantly is the centers, or the I-beams that run across the length of the floor, are 4 inches apart. So wherever you have a calf standing on this, they're standing on 1, if not 2 support beams. So it'll hold up extremely well as far as just the strength of the floor itself. Again, best floor on the market, starting off with the strongest foundation and then building up from there, and it gets even stouter from there. So again, the 2 traveling gates, that's the only way, kind of like I said with the Air Ride, you want multiple gates, you want the flexibility to set the stall area up about any way you want, and you've got that with these multiple gates. Again, a 3rd gate could be added if you want, but again, it's really well accepted, and this is, again, the most popular seller in this. That's why we keep a few of them on hand and on order at all times, and set up with the 30-foot and then that 6-foot front tack. We can custom build these to whatever you want. If you want it 30-foot 3 inches, if you want the front tack 6'6", we can do those type of items for you. Tie rails on the exterior, high and low as well. So if you're tying calves out here at the trailer, you've got that. Again, here's that lower air gap. Again, it's almost seamless when it's all set up into that extrusion, so it's really hard to see, but again, really dresses up the trailer with that polished extrusion. Lights, amber turn signal here in the middle. This is an upgrade we like to put on because one is, this is a long trailer, so that indicator light there will flash when we have our turn signals on, when we hit our brakes, and it works as a great marker light because it's big. But again, just getting people to pay attention to us. They're kind of just ahead of our tail lights. Can't really see the truck maybe. We turn that on. Maybe they'll help us out and get over. Okay, spread axle. So not only is this Air Ride, but this is a spread axle setup. Very popular. It's a good look to the trailer. We see it more and more. But by putting that spread on there, that 12-inch spread, it's going to take away more tongue weight, equal weight distribution, and boy, does this trailer pull extremely well. Not only are we getting the benefits of Air Ride suspension, but we're getting that of a spread. The best way to explain it is a spread's going to pull more like a triple. Imagine going into a big pothole with this. Our back axle's still on flat ground. By the time this transitions out and that one goes in there, it gives us more recovery time. But we also have Air Ride suspension, okay? So calves are gonna lay down like they're in the barn. The ride is phenomenal. I used to work with this guy at Cimarron. He retired and he said it was a game changer, and he's absolutely right. The famous Bert Derryberry, if you've heard of him, When a calf steps off this trailer, they're fresh, okay? They're not taking all that, abrupt pounding to the joints. We want them to go to the ring, and we want them to be nice and smooth and fluid in their movement. They're not going to get beat up on this trailer by having that Air Ride. A lot of customers will say that they can take a full day off of recovery time on long distance trips because of how well the calves, horses, whatever species you want, the Air Ride is a game changer. The most common response we hear is, I'll never own another trailer without Air Ride once they have it. It's phenomenal. So I showed you the compressor, and what we have is we have rubber torsion axles with a shock kit and then the bags, so the airliners, the air system itself. Right now it's aired down, okay? So our ramps aren't as steep. It's not as big of a step getting in that front tack room. When we go to leave, we turn it on and it picks this trailer up about 2.5 to 3 inches, which would make those ramps steeper. So load your calves, unload your calves when it's down, and then pick it up from there. But if something happens, it sets down just as it's sitting right now on those shocks and that rubber torsion axle. You can get to where you need to. If you have an air, supply issue, then you can go get it fixed. You're not stuck. The old Air Ride systems, you would be stuck and you couldn't move the trailer. But in this, you can. Again, when they own an Air Ride trailer, I mean, they're done. That's all they want. It pulls phenomenally well, but more importantly, it really helps the whatever species you're putting on here. have such a better ride. It's an added expense, but we've got a lot of expense on this trailer and a lot of time into them, so let's give them the best opportunity to go compete at the highest level. This one here, we did 17.5-inch Alcoas and then 18-ply Continental tires. So big running gear underneath this trailer. 8,000-pound axles. You have electric brakes, so your tow vehicle, it needs to either have an integrated brake controller or an aftermarket, and we could help you out with that. Most of these new trucks are all built with the integrated brake controller in there. But again, good look to the trailer, and then you've got all the benefits of that actual air ride system itself. Okay, at the back of the trailer, we have a swing gate with a slider. We have a couple 8-inch load lights up at the top. So we have lights out here as well at the back of the trailer. And then if you look at the back tail lights, there's a white X in them. That is a backup light built into them. So when we throw this, throw the truck in reverse, those guys will light up. So we have light coverage back here. So when you get in unfamiliar places, you get home late at night, you have some light when you're backing this trailer up. Again, 30 foot on the floor, backup lights on the truck, almost worthless at that point. So switches for all these lights are back here at this left-hand post. Again, we did some interior switches going in that ramp for load space, and then the right-hand side of the trailer, passenger side, but we can operate all those from right back here. Swing gate with a slider. This slider, because it's 8 wide, allows us to build this as a 36-inch wide opening. And that is really key. This is the other reason why I like the 48-inch swings, and then this bigger gate back here. So if you're dragging big bred heifers, big fats, anything like that, let's get a nice big opening for them. Last thing I want to do is try to, squeeze a big bred through a real narrow, gap here on this rear slider. If I'm butted up against an alleyway or another trailer or anything like that, we're, at a fuel station making that swap. We've all been there. But in this instance, it allows us for that wider opening, getting all this hardware and everything out of the way. Bigger rear bumper on these stock trailers because of the hardware we have versus the horse trailers where we don't have as much at the back, so we're protecting all that with that bigger rear bumper on the rear. And then over here on driver's side, tie rails, high and low again. So what's nice is if you're showing off of it or even using it for tie outs, you figure out which side's going to be the shaded side when you're getting them out there, and then you've got that capability to go ahead and tie them up. There's a piece that Cimarron builds if you wanted a section built for this tie rail that attaches to the current ones and goes across the wheels. That area for additional tie rail, that can be added. But again, here's that lower fold down. They're on gas shocks. Again, really easy to operate. And then again, just blends in with the trailer. Because of the ramp, because of the access gate, we have those different lengths of plexiglass. So again, that's where it's key on when we're removing it. Driver's side, taking those out and labeling where they go. Okay, I showed you that access gate a little bit from the inside. Here it is. So we've got since it's 8 foot wide, no running board, so we put the fold up step on there so we can easily hop into that stall area. And it even has the fold down on it as well. So we get airflow again directly behind that tack room going into that first stall. Everything's key to like. So the ramps, the tack door, this access gate right here, this can all be key to like. The only thing you'll have to do is padlocks on the back slider and then the back gate, and that's just because of the setup with that big cam lock back there. Okay, that front tack room, there's the access door going in to that. Again, I can reach in and I can turn the lights on and off. I've got them on that side. So again, I can turn them on and off from right here. But fold up step going in as well. Again, it's aired down, but the steps make a big difference going in and out of those tack rooms. And we do have that step on this side as well. Combo lock on the door. So if you don't lock the door latch and you just use this guy, you can just send somebody to the trailer, punch the code in, and you can hop in. It's always something that's like, where are the keys, who has them, not a problem. If that's, again, if that door latch isn't locked, you can just utilize that combo lock to, you know, secure that front tack room and make it easy getting in and out of there. All right, so I'm gonna give you the stock number on this guy for reference. It is a 2026 Cimarron Stierwalt Signature Series Air Ride 30-footer. Stock number is 5N250539. We do take trade-ins, so if you're looking to upgrade or downsize, we can help you there. Financing is available and delivery is an option, so we could potentially bring this to your doorstep. So give us a call. Anybody on the sales team can help you out. That number is 303-684-3400. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good day.